to run through just one quick section of diving compass from Sports Diver, and within that bezel, you've got your with the bezel. Beside the bezel, you've got your direction of travel line. As I say with mine, if you can see that red line across the front of mine is my direction of travel. So it's not got an arrow, but it'll be the bit that's pointing
Are you
away
saying
from
at the beginning you should line the north and north together, or the red line should be pointing to the direction you want to head to?
the red line should be in the center of your body
Yeah,
to where you're going to.
yeah.
Okay, so you set the going, flash your compass there in the direction of travel. And at that point, you put the 0 degrees to north.
Right, okay.
Okay, so now if you keep the north between those two bits and follow the red line, you'll always be on that 330 is what I've got at the moment. But you'll always, if you follow that straight line, you'll just go straight out on that. So if you veer off slightly, then the arrow will come out of those twins, and you'll go off at a different angle. Okay, so there's my compass from above.
Yeah.
Okay, so from where I am, can you see that in my other camera?
Well done.
Right. So I've now got my camera from the side, so it's looking straight ahead, so it's nice and flat. What I've done is I'm holding it in both hands in the center of my body. So now I've got the north, south in there measured up with that, and I now know that my direction line is going straight on like that. Okay. So if I was to turn it all the way around to there, when I'd reached the point that I was going to, I can then turn the compass all the way around, and then I've then got that lined up in the north, and then I follow that line straight back again east towards this way. I can't see your where you're pointing. You go back 90 degrees
back to west,
and then you turn the compass around, and now I'm pointing this way. Okay, so by doing that, I can do a square of 90, 90, 90, and then back to where I started again.
North now.
yeah.
So if
turn
you,
This towards me,
to west there,
yeah.
and then turn that to go west, yeah? Oh, yeah. What the hell?
so if you combine that with, say, 30 fin kicks or 5 minutes, and then you do 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, you should be pretty roughly where you started. Right, so we've got a compass aligned, so we've got the bearing set, everyone's happy with that now. Okay, so the journey out then, again, we find some way of measuring that so we can time our swim or use fin kicks. Bearing in mind that if you go out against the current, your fin kicks are going to work harder and they're going to be less effective than coming back. So if you go out on 10 fin kicks, you might find it's 8 on the way back. So it's worth sort of noticing that it's not going to be totally accurate. And if you've got a current sort of nudging you to one side, you might find that you move slightly as well. That is compass, short though it is. Has anybody got any questions on that? The high water length, that difference is called your tidal range. Okay, so you may find that tidal range, it will vary depending on the tides of the moon, but it means the dive site will vary. Okay, so if we've got a low water dive site of 21 meters, okay, but at high water we're looking at 25 meters then. Okay, so we've got a tidal range of 4 meters. So obviously if you're planning a dive, the difference between 21 and 25 can put you into a different code, tissue code. Okay, so the dive manager of the day will be expected to know what the high water will be, what the low water will be, and when they will be. And your dive manager or whoever's given the dive brief for the day should let you know those, and that allows you to plan your dive correctly. Okay, so the other thing that we've got to look out for is currents and groundswell. So we've got tidal currents, okay, and the tides fall, that ebb, and they rise, which is flood. Okay, so the water moves to and fro horizontally. We can go on to discuss some other surface conditions, but that was mainly the tidal stuff that we were on about. Is there any questions for anyone about tides and their effect on your dive? No, Colin, have you anything to add on tides? Or
not really. Just the main thing is about springs and neaps, and that they'll happen basically twice a month, and there's no connection between the season of spring and spring tides. So it's all about the location of the moon, and it's all down to the Vikings. So neaps is apparently the Viking word for having lots of water. So you have a smaller tidal range, so you have more water. Whereas spring it's moving fast. And if you think about the season, spring, everything's springing into life, moving very quickly. Spring as in the motion, you're again jumping very quickly, and it's that rapid movement. So it's all about the interpretation of the word, not necessarily about the season or whatever you might.
So is the best possible time is a neap tide on slack water?
Yeah, if you want to stay on a wreck or stay on a particular site. If you want to dive where you're doing a drift dive, you may well want not to do that. So you can always dive at other times, but it may be considerably more difficult to dive mid-tide on a spring tide. The other thing, as Rico said about water movement, and if you're diving in an estuary, rising, so flood tide, then water's coming in from the sea. So say for Teignmouth, for example, diving on a flood tide, if you dive in, there's a wreck called Galicia, which is just in the estuary entrance. It's always better to dive it on an incoming tide where the water's clearer. So all these things that come into play, just knowing what's happening.
Okay, oh, brilliant. Well, I hope everyone else has enjoyed. I know it's in early days, but if we can use this as a way of teaching going forward, it would be quite handy, at least while we're here. Again, it's not as preferable as doing it face to face, but it still seems to work, and hopefully we've been some use to you today.
Thanks, Rico. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah,
Thanks. I'm quite impressed. Right, well, I'll leave you to it. Thanks very much. Nice to see everybody.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, cheers. Have a good weekend, and yeah, well, I'll see you on Tuesday, Colin.